Assalamualaikum. This is Faryal Jabin, roll number EP1770039. My topic is central nervous system infections and my subtopic is brain abscess. First, we discuss what is CNS infection. CNS is the part of body's nervous system that includes brain and spinal cord, and infections related to the brain or spinal cord leads to CNS infection. An infection of CNS can be life-threatening condition, especially for children and with weakened immune system. This infection needs quick diagnosis and immediate treatment. Bacteria, fungi, and virus are the most common cause of CNS infections. CNS infection caused by bacteria or fungi can cause illness such as brain abscess, collection of pus, and infected tissue within a brain. Bacterial meningitis, when bacteria enters in bloodstream and travel to brain and spinal cord. CNS infection caused by virus can cause illness such as viral meningitis, inflammation of layers of tissue that covers brain and spinal cord, encephalitis, inflammation of brain itself. Then what are the diagnoses of CNS infection? First, we see the sign and symptoms of CNS infection. Then we perform testing, which may include blood tests, which examine the evidence of infection, CT scan, and magnetic resonance imaging, MRI. These spatial imaging tests produce cross-sectional images of the body. Spinal tap, a small amount of CSF is obtained to test for infections. What is brain abscess? Brain abscess is a focal intracranial infection that may present with mild vague symptoms or as a life-threatening emergency. It begins with an area of encapsulated inflammation known as cerebritis and develops into a collection of necrotic pus surrounded by a vascular capsule. It occurs as a result of a variety of infections, trauma, or surgery and carries significant morbidity and mortality, that is death rate. This type of infection usually begins as one of these ways. It spreads from a nearby site such as middle ear infection, sinus infection, or dental abscess. Blood carries the infection from further away in the body to the brain. Infectious organisms enter the brain through a penetrating injury such as gunshot wound or from neurological procedures or facial trauma like bruises or lesions. Brain abscess localization. Brain abscess mainly occur in cerebrum, that is frontal lobe. It may occur in cranial meninges, subdural and epidural spaces. Autogenic abscesses occurs in the temporal lobe and cerebellum. Sinus infection abscess occurs predominantly in frontal lobe. Cerebrum includes frontal lobe, temporal lobe, parietal lobe, and occipital lobe. Epidemiology. Although not common as meningitis, abscess of the brain parenchyma, brain abscesses remain an important type of CNS infection. Men are more likely to develop abscesses within the brain than women. Brain abscess can occur in any age, but the median age is 30 to 40 years. Approximately 25% cases occurs in children. Development in imaging techniques, example CT scan, MRI scan, which allow early recognition of abscesses, have had the most profound impact on reducing morbidity and mortality from brain abscess. With the combined medical and surgical approach, currently recommended mortality rates continues to average less than 10%. Then we have etiology. Mostly it occurs by bacteria. Streptococci, aerobic, anaerobic, and microaerophilic. In 70% cases, Streptococcus aeruginosus, oral cavity infection, Staphylococcus aureus, cranial trauma or infective endocarditis, enteric gram-negative bacilli, example Proteus species, E. coli, Pseudomonas aeruginosa, and Enterobacter species, which occurs in 25 to 30% cases. Then we have fungi, which includes Nocardia species, then virus, HIV virus. Then we have predisposing factor. Brain abscess most commonly arise from a contagious source of infection. Sinusitis lead to frontal lobe abscess. Otitis lead to temporal lobe abscess. Mastocytitis, dental infection lead to frontal abscess. Brain abscess also occur as a consequence of metastatic spread organisms from a primary site of infection like lung abscesses, endocarditis, osteomyelitis, pelvic infection, intra-abdominal infection. In children, cyanotic congenital heart disease, a common predisposing factor for brain abscess. Multiple abscesses suggest a metastatic source of infection. As with meningitis, brain abscess occur as infrequent complication of head trauma or neurosurgery. Then we have 4 stages of brain abscess. Early cerebritis is first stage, which occurs between 1 to 3 days. A perivascular infiltration of inflammatory cells around the central core of coagulation necrosis. Then second stage called as late cerebritis, which occurs in 4 to 9 days. Pus formation in necrotic center, which is surrounded by inflammatory cells and fibroblast. Third stage called as early capsule formation, which occurs in 10 to 13 days. A capsule that is better developed on cortical than on ventricle side of lesion. Fourth stage, late capsule formation, and it form in 14 days. A well-defined necrotic center surrounded by a dense collagenous capsule. The stage of abscess development has important implications for therapy, although it is best to wait until the capsule is fully formed before attempting any surgical intervention. Antimicrobial therapy alone may resolve the infection if discovered in the early cerebritis stage. Then we have symptoms: headache, most common, which is often severe, located in single section of head; seizures, increased confusions, decreased responsiveness and irritability, decreased speech, decreased sensation, decreased movement due to loss of muscle function, muscle weakness or paralysis; changes in vision such as blurring, graying of vision due to the abscess putting pressure on optic nerve; changes in personality or behavior. Then we have diagnosis or lab investigation. CSF examination should be performed in all the patients. ESR, erythrocyte sedimentation rate. Blood examination may reveal inflammatory signs with an elevation of C-reactive protein. MRI scan, CT scan. Treatment for bacterial brain abscess. Antimicrobial therapy, it is an essential component of brain abscess therapy. Penicillin and cephalosporin penetrate adequately into brain abscess fluid. Penicillin G may be susceptible to degradation by enzymes present within the abscess. Cephalosporin third generation, cefotaxime, ceftriaxone, and ceftriaxone are believed to penetrate more sufficiently into the abscess, are good choices when gram-negative bacteria are present and has an excellent anaerobic activity but degrade in purulent abscess fluid. Metronidazole, because of the unique mechanism of action, make it particularly useful in the necrotic core of the cavity where the oxidation reduction potential are low and bacteria replicate slowly. Vancomycins and carbapenems appear to penetrate sufficiently into brain abscess fluid. Then we have adjunctive corticosteroid therapy. It is controversial for bacterial brain abscess. Steroids can interfere with antibiotic penetration into abscess. So we don't use corticosteroid with antibacterial therapy, and obscure the interpretation of serial CT scan when assessing response therapy. Therefore, it is only indicated when there is cerebral edema is present, particularly if it is accompanied by neurological deterioration. Drug of choice of corticosteroid, we have dexamethasone. Then we have adjunctive anticonvulsant therapy used in the acute settings when seizures are present. The long-term use of anticonvulsant depend upon whether seizure activity persists. Drug use against partial and complex partial seizures are preferred: phenytoin, carbamazepine. Duration of therapy, no formal guidelines are available regarding the optimal duration of therapy for bacterial brain abscess given the serious nature of infection and difficulty associated with antibiotic penetration. Therapy, high doses IV therapy should be continued for 6 to 8 weeks. If patient respond to therapy, then we continue with oral antibiotics. The duration of therapy should be evaluated on case by case basis. Some experts recommend long term 2 to 6 month oral antibiotics after IV course. First we give IV, then we continue with oral antibiotics. Then we have surgical techniques. Response rates to antimicrobial therapy alone have been disappointing, and with a few exceptions, surgical intervention is necessary to ensure optimal results. Medical therapy is indicated when multiple abscesses are present, when the abscess cavity is accessible surgically for patients who are poor surgical candidates, and when the abscess is less than 4 cm. Types of surgical approaches, we have two approaches: stereostatic needle aspiration and craniotomy. Stereostatic aspiration, if abscess contents, can be performed under local anesthesia and produces lower morbidity and mortality than craniotomy. It is highly effective approach except when multiloculated abscesses are present. Craniotomy, for abscess excision, the abscess cavity can be excised completely, which often allows a shorter duration of antimicrobial therapy. Then we have a case study. which I have taken from Koda Kimball. LY, a 40-year-old man, is brought to ED by a friend, complains of severe headache, fever, weakness in his left arm and leg, and increases drowsiness. Over the past week, he suffered from headaches which have gradually worsened in intensity and from intermittent episodes of fever. Despite getting plenty of sleep, he has been feeling increasingly drowsy over the past several days. When he noticed weakness in his left arm and difficulty in concentrating this morning, he called a friend and asked to be taken for his evaluation. He has a history of chronic sinusitis that has been treated with a variety of oral antibiotics. His last episode of sinusitis, which occurred about 1 month ago, was treated with a 10-day course of cefalexine. He denies any nausea and vomiting and has not experienced any seizures in the recent past. He was tested for HIV 6 months ago and the result of his antibody test is negative. He takes no current medication, denies smoking and use of recreational drugs, and drinks alcohol only on social occasions. A few times a month, he was known drug allergies. Physical examination reveals that he is in mild distress with a temperature of 38.2 degrees Celsius. He is slightly lethargic and is oriented to person and plays but with no time. Thus, strength in his left arm is 3/5, strength in his left leg is 4/5. The remainder of the neurologic examination is grossly normal. He described moderate pain or palpitation of his frontal sinuses and purulent discharges noted. Laboratory evaluation shows the WBC count is 8,000 cells per mm cube. Normal is 3,200 till 9,800 with 70% PMN. 25% lymphocytes and 5% monocyte. Hemoglobin, HCT, platelets and serum chemistries are within normal limits. And his burn level. And serum creatinine is 16 mg per deciliter. Normal is 8 to 18 and 1.2 milligram per deciliter. Normal is 0.6 to 1.2 respectively. His erythrocyte sedimentation rate is 40. Normal is 0 to 20. A CT scan with contrast dye reveals a right frontal ring enhancing lesion with a small amount of surrounding cerebral edema. He is admitted to the neurosurgery unit for further evaluation and treatment. What clinical signs and symptoms does he display that are suggestive of bacterial brain abscess? How can brain abscess can be diagnosed in him? SOAP notes. We have subject, gender is male, age 14 years, chief complaint severe headache, fever, weakness in left arm and leg, increased drowsiness, moderate pain on palpitation of his frontal sinuses, medical history, chronic sinusitis treated with cefalexine, tested for HIV about 6 months ago and antibody test is negative. Then we have object, physical examination, temperature is 38.2 degrees Celsius, mild distress, strength of left arm is 3/5, strength of left leg is 4/5, neurological examination is normal. Laboratory evaluation, WBC count is 8,000 cells per mm cube, normal is 3,200 till 9,800. 25% lymphocytes, 5% monocyte, hemoglobin, HCT, platelets, serum chemistry are in normal limits. Serum creatinine is 16 mg per deciliter, normal is 8 to 18. ESR is 40 mmHg, normal is 0 to 20, which indicates ESR is increased. CT scan shows right frontal ring enhancing lesion with a small amount of surrounding cerebral edema. Then assessment, as he is suffering from chronic sinusitis, so in later it may develop brain abscess. Severe headache and fever shows a symptom of brain abscess which is worsened over a past week. Increase in drowsiness, also a symptom of brain abscess. Weakness in left arm and leg, also a sign of brain abscess which further result in paralysis. He is not experienced any nausea and vomiting and any seizures. Approximately 1/3 of the patient experience partial seizures. Laboratory evaluation is not very helpful when diagnosis brain abscess, but elevated ESR shows brain abscess. Brain abscess will appear to ring enhance, also cerebral edema shows brain abscess. Then we have planned surgical techniques. A combined medical and surgical treatment is the best form of therapy. Antibiotic therapy, clinical presentation of LY shows an advanced brain abscess. The presence of ring enhancement, antibiotic therapy should be delayed because he is not chronically ill until surgery is performed, and the specimen obtained from surgical procedure should be sent for aerobic and anaerobic culture. Empiric therapy, which we give a combination of penicillin G 4 million unit IV Q4 hourly plus metronidazole 500 mg IV Q8 hourly is indicated. Because his abscess appear to originate from sinus, the likelihood of gram-negative infection is there. With the evidence of gram-negative bacteria on gram stain of abscess fluid, cefotaxime 3 gram IV Q6 hourly also should be included. Alternative to cefotaxime is ceftriaxone 2 gram IV Q12 hourly. Penicillin will cover anaerobic microaerophilic streptococci, metronidazole will provide coverage for strict anaerobes. Then we have references. Thank you so much.